There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now.
Welcome you to The Psychic and the Doc. I'm Dr. Pat. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Mark Anthony. Now, for those of you out there, tonight's show, and we've got callers calling in, Mark, so I just want to make sure everybody knows, 1-800-930-2819. Mark, you could find out so much about Mark. We're going to give you his website. He's traveling, so you're going to see him in person, which is the coolest thing. And then, as a result of that, you're also going to be able to join his circles one-on-one. And what we do during the show, Mark, these are small sessions. And I want to be clear about that. This is just a taste of the work that you do together. And we are taking your calls. We're going to be getting to you, Donna. We get to you, Trish, 1-800-930-2819. But we've got a topic today that's really near and dear. And it's probably, you're going to probably hear me talk about something you don't think. Today, we're going to be talking about, this is about Teachers' Day. This is about honoring our mentors. Now, what do we mean by Teachers' Day? First of all, we got a crazy election going on here in Washington State. And
everywhere.
I'm not even going to mention the names because y'all know who it is. Cutting teachers' pay and privatizing public schools in this state and making comments that teachers are overpaid. That is definitely got to be coming from somebody that never stood in front of a classroom and taught anybody.
How could anyone say teachers are overpaid? A lot of my friends are teachers and professors, and I teach through the Shift Network. Yeah. And next week I'll be teaching at the Edgar Cayce Center in Virginia Beach at the Ancient Mysteries Conference. Teachers and first responders and military are not paid enough because these are the people that shape young minds. First responders protect us. Military, they protect us. Teachers are so vitally important. And when I look back throughout my life, having gone through both college and then law school and beyond, I've had so many wonderful people who made a profound influence upon me, and they were never paid anywhere near enough, I don't think.
No. And I want to talk about this today because we're not just talking about teachers in school. We have teachers, people that teach us. They teach us things, right? I want to say that about my esteemed colleague, Mark Anthony. I've learned more about an area that I knew nothing about, more in the time I've been doing this show than I could have possibly learned. It didn't matter how many books I read. It's not going to matter, how many classes I took, because when you are mentored by somebody like Mark, because you're watching him, and outside of this show, you all need to know, we get together, Mark, myself, Linda, Rocky, we get together, Emily, we get together and we plan these shows. And so there's an exchange of information and learning that happens. And I just want you all to know that this honoring today is to really think about those people. Seriously think about those people let me just say that you may bump up against in the night. And I say bump up against in the night only, Mark, because when you bump up against them and you meet them, you don't know the profound effect they're going to have. And I just had an experience like that this week.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, I've had a lot of mentors, and I would not be here. I would not be here. Many of y'all have heard me talk about Linda, but what you don't know is when I met Linda, who I was back then, just saying, and her parents, and I clearly know I would not be alive today. I know that. I mean, I was not on a trajectory that I'm even going to talk about on the show. Then I've had mentors along the way. Mark, you have too. You had mentors.
Oh, yes.
I've had mentors in school, but you have to be awake enough to understand when you're being mentored. And the other day I interviewed Bob Parsons, and I've always wanted to talk to this man. I wanted to say thank you for starting GoDaddy, because people like me in 2001, right? No tech experience. I mean, we could look now and we could look at how tech we are. You take something, you paste it in, and you got this fantastic thing. But 2001, that was not the playground.
No, it wasn't when I was in law school. Oh, my God. Yeah, it was typewriters and handwriting, and it was a nightmare. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And you know, it's so funny because the other day I was asked, the other week I was asked for my research. Somebody wanted my raw data, and I said, I'd love to give me my raw data. And they said, well, can you just send me, the files? I said, no. And they said, well, why not? I said, they're on floppy disk. People are like, what?
Oh, yeah. What's a floppy disk?
What's a floppy disk? And, I got an email back and said, we might be able to decode that. But the point that you and I are making is today is to honor those people. Who in your life, Mark? And I'll get back to Bob in a minute, but who in your life?
I've been thinking about this all day because I knew this would come up. My parents. My mother taught me so much about what it means to value yourself. Certainly, she taught me about intuition, psychic ability. My dad about having confidence in yourself. And, the funny thing is, Dr. Pat, every time I fix something, I realize that's because of my dad. The other day I fixed something on a little electrical outlet, and I realized Dad taught me how to do that. In high school, my favorite teacher was Mr. Thomas Hett. He has since passed. He taught European history, which was one of my favorite subjects, and he had such a wonderful appreciation for history. And he was one of the teachers who valued me as a student. Wow. When I was in law school at Oxford, there was this professor, Bernard Redden, and he was like the perfect Englishman. He was the most brilliant law professor I ever had. I could just talk about the things that he taught. And he was so cool because if he would ask a question and somebody would say something stupid, he would just look at them, raise an eyebrow and go, really? And just by going, really? And it made you feel like, oh, God, I'm an idiot. And I remember him complimenting me, and that meant all the world to me. And then since then, I would say Dr. Gary Schwartz from the University of Arizona. He's now professor emeritus, which means he has not retired. He's still working on the soul phone, but he's also become a friend. And it's really cool. Wow. When I'm with Dr. Schwartz and he's with his wife, Rhonda, who's a medium, and Rocky and I are sitting there, we're having lunch or dinner or whatever, and we're talking, and I realize I'm sitting at the same table with the Albert Einstein of survival of consciousness research. And
what
sometimes,
is that even like, Mark?
It's like sometimes I have to pinch myself because I meet people like Dr. Gary Schwartz, and then I meet Dr. Bruce Grayson, who founded the International Association for Near-Death Studies, and then PMH Atwater, who also founded IANDS. And then I just meet these like Dr. Raymond Moody, Dr. Eben Alexander, whom we've had on the show. And it's really amazing to get to know them as people and be treated as an equal and as a colleague. But what's really been incredible, Dr. Pat, and I'm sure this has happened to you a lot, because in your line of work, you've helped so many people. Every now and then I'll receive an email through Facebook or somewhere else, and it'll be somebody whose life I touched. I remember this woman, she said, "You probably don't remember me, but I interned in your law office and you made such a profound influence on my life." And I had to search to remember. And I'd like to end with, if I can tell a story. When I was practicing law, I was representing this guy, and he was one of the most handsome people you can imagine. He used to be a Prince Charming at Disney. So he had those chiseled features and the wavy black hair. But boy, he was a bad boy. I mean, he had a really, after his Prince Charming days, Grand Theft Auto, he stabbed somebody. I mean, he was a rough, tough, bad guy, just in a very, he kind of looked like a combination of Rob Lowe and Tom Cruise. He was that type. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
And every time he'd come to the office, all the secretaries like, "Oh my God, here." Well, anyway, so he got arrested for having some pills in his car, and he was on probation. And of course, his story was, somebody borrowed my car and left the pills in the car.
Of course they did.
Of course they did, which in your field and mine, we all know is a crock of what. So I told him, that's not the best story. Well, we went in front of the judge. Now, this judge was not just any judge. This judge, I think he's recently retired, but he was serving on the federal bench. But this is when he was in the circuit court, felony court. And we walk in, and the thing about this judge, his name was John. I'll just call him his first name, John, because I don't want to give any names here.
That's right. Yeah.
If he was wearing his glasses, it meant that he had a headache because his contacts were irritating him. So before he'd go in court, all he turns says, "The judge wearing his glasses." And I was walking in, and I said to somebody, "He's wearing his glasses?" And they looked at me and go, "Oh, yeah." And I'm like, uh-oh. So we go in front of this judge, and there he is. He's got his glasses on. He's rubbing his head like this, which I knew, oh, man, he's got a headache. So we're at the podium. And he said, "Well, what happened?" I go, "Well, Your Honor, my client, somebody borrowed his cars and left the pills in it." And he goes, "Stop." And he takes his glasses off, and then he's rubbing his head, and he goes, "I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from your client. What happened?" "Well, Your Honor, somebody borrowed my car." He goes, "I don't want to hear that." He said, "You're a very handsome young man. And I think I'm going to send you to a place where your looks will be a detriment rather than a benefit."
My gosh, no.
Yeah, because a pretty boy like that in prison, and the color's draining from my client's face, and he goes, "I will give you exactly 5 minutes to go in the hall, tell your attorney what happened, and come back in here." Right? And he goes, he's crying out in the hall and all. So we go in front of the judge. The judge goes, "Now, will you tell me what really happened?" And so he says, "Oh, the drugs are mine," and he's shaking, and the judge goes, "Do you feel better having told me the truth?" And my client's like, "Well, I don't know." And so the judge, and I said, "Your Honor," and I stepped in, I says, "Please, Your Honor, I understand, and can you please give him another chance?" He goes, "Against my better judgment, I will." But he loaded him up on community service, probation, urine tests, the whole 9 yards. And when we were walking out of the courtroom, I remember the prosecutors are real sarcastic, goes, "Oh, he'll violate, he's a druggie." So let's fast forward in time 5 years.
Yeah, let's do it. I want to know where the guy is.
So my secretary goes, "Mark, it's like Superman is here to see you." And I'm like, "What?" And all of a sudden he walks in, and I looked at him and go, "Oh, I remember you." And he said, "I was driving down the road and I saw the sign for your law office and I thought I'd pull in." I go, "Did you get arrested?" He goes, "No, that's just it." He said, 5 years ago, when you represented me, my parents turned their backs on me. Nobody could trust me. He said, nobody had any faith in me but you. And he said, and you really went to bat for me in front of that really scary judge. He said, I got my act together. He said, I stopped using drugs. I got a job. I got married. I have a little girl now. And he goes, and I have you to thank for it. Yeah. And let me tell you, Dr. Pat, out of the thousands of people I represented, I finally got through. I know I got through to others, but that is one that will always stick out in my mind. And he valued me as a mentor, even when, to me, I was just doing my job.
Yeah, that's what we want people to think about today. You know, these people show up in our lives, and it's just weird. I have so many. We could spend the whole show on this, and maybe we should do a separate show on it, Mark. Because you have to stop in gratitude. I went back to my high school reunion and I beat the doors down to find Amy Sarah, who was my teacher. I beat those doors down to find her, my junior high school teacher, because this woman, I'm telling you, this is a lifesaver. This woman saw me as a kid. She knew what I was going through. She knew I was different. She knew it. And I remember one day after school, I could tell you exactly what she looked like, Mark. And after school, she took me into the little counseling room and she said to me, she said, you're different, but you're not less than. I can't remember her words. All I know, it was like a short meeting that changed my life.
Yeah.
It changed my life. And she said, someday you're going to be a great teacher. Now, okay, back then I'm like, I can't even get a sentence out. But we have these people. You know, Dr. Carolyn Grandrose, when I went back to school, I didn't know what end was up. Are you kidding? I'm learning different. She came in, and you know what I learned in that program? And I bet you learned it too. Humility.
Yes.
And I learned the lesson of humility. The last thing I want to say about mentors, there's one very recent, but here's what I want to say for those of you in recovery. If you take the journey of recovery and you don't have a sponsor, run, don't walk to get one. And if you look around your room, here's what I'm going to say to you. You're going to look around the room and you're going to look at that woman and you're going to say, I'm never going to work with that. You know what? That's the person I want you to go get. Because these are the people that are so committed to save our lives. Every sponsor that is out there that's in any of the 12-step programs. And it doesn't matter to me whether you believe in 12-step programs or not. I'm just saying, those people that are out there guardianshipping you, walking you through whatever the book you're going through. If you're in a Christian program, you're going through the Bible. If you're in a 12-step program, you're going through the big book. Both of them are Bibles in their own way. But what I want to say to you, those people get no credit. They're not even allowed to be talked about. Somebody's going to call me because I'm talking about them now. But what I want to say, please notice the people in your life that otherwise are unnoticeable to you. 2 days ago, I interviewed Bob Parsons. And I mentioned this earlier. Who the heck's this? Who's Bob? Bob wrote a book called Fire in the Hole.
Yeah.
That book will make you cry. But he's also the guy that created GoDaddy. And I had the opportunity to thank him, Mark. Why is that important to thank the people that have helped you? It means more than you know. But I thanked him. I'm not sure he understood why. And I may end up losing my unstuckable trademark because I don't have enough money for the kinds of lawyers that I'm going to need to put my defense together. I'm hoping if any lawyers are out there that know anything about trademarks, you give me a call. But he said something interesting to me, and I thanked him. I said, the one piece of evidence I do have, Bob, is in 2001, like I don't even know you started GoDaddy then, I bought that domain. Now, unstuckable.com is up. I've been using it for over 20 years, and I may lose it. I may lose it because the amount of money it may cost for me to defend something on a word that I made up. But in this day and time we live in, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that what I'm learning in the world, I'm grateful for it.
I wonder.
And I'm not a quitter. So I'm not throwing in the towel anytime soon. When things are rough, you're going to learn some stuff. Mark, you did. You're no longer a lawyer. Well, I don't know if you're a lawyer, but
I'm an attorney, but I'm not practicing.
But you're not. You don't get to sign up. You're not taking like people coming to. But what you learned to become that is unbelievable.
We're going to go to the journey. Yeah, it's all part of the journey.
It's all part of the journey. But we're going to go to the phones. We're going to take you both right. Bada bing, bada bang. Emily's going to make it all happen as she always does. I think we got. You want me to say it? Donna from, you ready? Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island. All right, let's take a real short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. And I'm sorry, Mark and I are just going off on mentoring. He's mentoring me, but we're going to the phones. Emily, who do we have?
Okay, up first we have Donna from Long Island. Donna, you're live.
Hey, Donna.
Hi, Dr. Pat and Mark. I want to thank you not only for taking my call, but for everything that you just said about teachers and the importance of gratitude. I'm a teacher, and I teach students who want to be teachers. And what I'm seeing, not only in my classroom, but what I'm hearing from my former students who are now friends, I listen to their stories about their experiences in the classroom, and nobody goes into teaching to make money. You go into teaching for the love of teaching and spreading knowledge.
I know. And this is the craziest thing here in our state. I mean, did you hear what I said about what's going on in Washington State? Now, you and I know that if this were happening in Long Island, or I'm from New York, anybody that runs for any office that would dare come on and say that teachers make too much money. Can you imagine if that were New York?
Well,
and I'm just saying, I'm alive here today, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't be here. I would be Dr. Nobody.
How about politicians make too much money? Why don't we start cutting their budgets? You know? All right, let's not get started on that. All right, Donna, what can we do for you?
And Donna, thank you for your service as a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing, really.
Well, thank you for what you said, because I think just a simple thank you is all teachers ever really want. It's just like veterans. Just say thank you. And
don't get me started on the veterans. You got to go listen to the interview I did with Barb Parsons. Oh, my gosh. You're going to love that. Sorry. How can we help you, Donna?
I just finished listening to Mark reading his book, The Afterlife Frequency. I especially enjoyed it because you read it. And I enjoyed hearing your voice and listening to the stories. It was like listening to this show all over again.
Well, thank you.
It was wonderful, and it answered a lot of the questions that I have. I'm just, wondering, I'm open to hearing from anybody on the other side that
Okay. Hold on. Let me open up the frequency. Yeah. And be careful about going into a reading, like I explained, with an agenda. Like, I want to hear this. Let me see who's going to come through.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get you something here.
That's why I said it the way I did. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Donna, I'm picking up a female spirit connected to you through your mom's side of the family. And this woman, she was elderly when she passed. And by elderly, she could easily have been in her her 80s. But I'm getting like this white silvery hair, and it seemed like even up toward the end, she always made sure that she looked good, like her hair was done, her appearance was good. But certainly toward the end, I'm getting a lot of pain in the back, and I'm getting this hunched sensation. So that could be an indicator of osteoporosis or some other type of spinal discomfort. And I'm getting a lot of coughing, a lot of lung issues, and difficulty breathing. I'm also getting with her, I'm feeling fluid buildup in the chest. Now, this could be pneumonia, COPD, or something like that, but it very well could be congestive heart failure, and which is not unusual with elderly people to have a number of medical conditions. But what I'm getting is a gradual decline in so many different bodily systems. I'm getting circulation, I'm getting the lung issues, I'm getting the low back pain, and I'm getting this atrophy of the heart. In other words, it feels like her heart was slowing down, and then when she did pass, it feels like it was very, very gentle, peaceful passing. Does this person make sense to you? Do you recognize this?
Absolutely. That's my grandma.
Your grandma? Is that your
my grandma?
Hold
my
on.
mother's mother.
Your mom's mom. Okay. All right. Let's see what she has. She keeps talking about, this is a weird thing, but she's talking about cotton candy. I mean, that's not something I think about very much, but I'm getting like this big thing of cotton candy. And I'm also, now it's arcing over to saltwater taffy, that gooey stuff. Okay, I'm sure, most people have that, and you're in Long Island, so there may be somewhere around there. But is there something about cotton candy or saltwater taffy? And don't worry if it applies to her. If worry about or look for how it makes sense to you in any way.
Well, it does. It makes sense to me in terms of summer.
All right, go ahead and take a sip of water, because remember, we're on radio, so the whole world can hear you coughing. So take a sip of water.
Sorry. We would take summer vacations on the Jersey Shore, and so that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Now she is talking to you. Speaking of the cough, and she's targeting that. She said you're not paying enough attention to this. The cilia in your lungs are getting irritated. Also, there's an issue. It almost feels like a touch of asthma, but I don't think it's asthma. And I'm getting inflammation in your sinuses. Also, she's saying too much sugar, too much sugar, too much sugar, too much sugar. Interesting how she led off with cotton candy and saltwater taffy. Anything there makes sense. She's focusing on you. Oh, and realize she's not here to pick on you. She's here to help. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I know. All of it. Yeah, I have COPD.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take your time, please. Take your time. We're going to wait for you.
Yeah, take your time. So she said, for the most part, you're following your treatment, but then there's gaps and lapses in it. Yeah. Are you not always doing what the doctors are telling you to do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you got to realize, Dr. Pat and I are both Italian. We were both exposed to Catholicism. She's a psychologist. I'm a psychic and a lawyer. We know guilt when we hear it. So no, I'm just making a joke there. But the thing is, your grandmother, who loves you very much, is coming through to say that you've got to get back on that protocol for dealing with the COPD, because what's happening is it's getting worse. And she's talking about there's some place, doesn't seem like where you live, but some place that you frequent often that aggravates it. I'm getting like a moldy and mildewy type of environment. Is there some building that you go to that kind of has that damp, sick building syndrome going on with it?
Well, all of Long Island is like that.
Okay. Oops. Okay. So let's see what else she's got for you. And she keeps showing me the rooster. The rooster. Now, when I think of a rooster.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, go right ahead. Your interpretation is more important than mine. Go ahead with the rooster.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Mike. When I was about 5 years old, and as an Easter gift, I got these 6 little chicks, and only one of them survived, and he turned out to be a rooster. And I had him for several years. I had a pet rooster, and he would cock-a-doodle-doo in the morning.
Oh, that's so funny.
Mr. Mike.
So you know what this means is animals have souls. And birds come through quite a bit in readings. Your rooster is with your grandmother. I don't mean to laugh, but they're there. That's also a verifiable fact following the message. You got to start taking better care of yourself. And once again, neither Dr. Pat nor I are medical doctors. I'm going to turn it over to her in just a sec. But I'm smelling a lot of menthol. I'm smelling eucalyptus. I'm getting like this steamy vapor. Is that part of your treatment to do some type of respiratory therapy? Inhalers, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Dr. Pat, take it
are
away.
you using them there, Donna?
I am.
Okay, do you have a CPAP machine? Do you know CPAP?
I know. I don't. No, I just right now, I just have inhalers.
Okay.
And over the past few days, it seems to be very, first I thought it was more allergies, sinus related.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me talk for a little bit so you can just breathe in and be calm. A couple things I want to say. Mark and I are not doctors, okay? But I have had people in my family with a condition. I actually have a friend. And can you just talk really quickly? What do you do to get in a very meditative state? What do you do? What kind of practices, Donna? Do you know any practices?
I don't. And that's,
okay. I'm going to help you, though. I don't know, and don't tell me. I do not know what your financial situation is. One, make sure you're checking in with your doctor. Got it?
Yes. Yeah.
2, breathing and things like AFib. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I have clients that I work with. So when I work with them, the first thing I ask is, what do you have as a tool or a device? Because you can't call Mark 24/7. So you're not going to be able to get that help 24/7. So about 5 years ago, Mary Jane Mack, we've got to get Mary Jane Mack on the show. About 5 years ago, Mary Jane Mack introduced me to something called Brain Tap. You can Google it.
Oh, now, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. If you Google
I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, I want to tell you how it helps help. I'm under a lot. Should I admit this on air? I've been told that I'm under a lot of stress, and yet I don't show it. And people are like, how? See, this device is not just for your brain, it's for your body. He's got wellness, right? Well, this is a rewiring. And so what I'm trying to say to you is, you have a medical condition. It's very clear. And that medical condition can be triggered by the degree by which you're able to relax, right? Has your doctor told you that, Donna?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to be telling you what your doctor ain't told you. But what I'm trying to say is braintap.com, or go to maryjanemack.com and tell Nancy, if you talk to her, Dr. Pat sent me, and I want to know more about the Brain Tap. And the only reason I'm saying it is a device that I do not leave my house without. And by the way, if I don't put it on, I get my phone and I've got all the brain tap stuff in my phone, because on any given day, you should have been a flea on the wall with Mark and I talking about my trademark situation. I have to go to something other than that. Oh, you did hear it? And I also have a very strong spiritual practice, and I do a lot of things in the background. But can you promise that you'll do something on your own behalf to get yourself some relief here? I don't want to ask you about the stress in your life, because there is something stressful happening right now, correct?
Yeah, well, I've had a very stressful 3 years.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'm looking at changes that are going to relieve the stress.
Good. And that you don't need to talk about it on air. I know they're there, and you're going to need some tools to help you get over the hill, because ain't no mountain high enough. Right. Ain't no mountain high enough. I'm going to share something. I interviewed Bob Parsons the other day, and he said something to me, and I'm sorry, I'm just all over this guy. He's like, I had like a 40-minute interview with him, and it was what I needed to hear. This is the guy that started GoDaddy. Do you know what he never does? Worry.
No.
Never worry. Try it on, okay? Thank you, Donna.
I will. I'm going to look at Green Cat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark,
and listen to that Bob Parsons interview. Emily, can we take that Bob Parsons interview and maybe have Jessica put it up on the homepage? Because I keep talking about it and people are not going to be able to find it. Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Oh, man. I just want to honor her a minute.
Yeah. Thank you.
We need to honor her a minute.
Yeah, I mean, being a teacher, for all the teachers out there that are listening, as Dr. Pat said, thank you.
Yeah, we just need to honor her.
I want to mention one other teacher that I've gotten to know is Colonel Dr. John Alexander, and we had him on the show.
Yeah,
and what an amazing individual in so many ways. And so I want to do a shout out to him. And he's pushing 90, and he is still traveling the world. He's still going to conferences, and he sets the standard. Because I was talking to him, I said, "Are you going to retire?" He goes, "Seriously?" He goes, "I'm going to keep going until I don't." And you know what? That is the mentoring that's my philosophy. I'm going to keep going until I don't. People always say, "Well, someday are you going to retire?" And it's like, and do what?
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, let's go to the phones, because I'm with you on that. Look, I don't know who came up with the word retire. I just don't know. I don't know. But you can retire or make a transition from one phase of your life to another. But trust me, nobody literally retires. Even if you're home watching television, you ain't retired. You're watching television. Let's go to the phones, Emily.
Okay. Up next, we have Trish from New York. Trish, you're live.
Hi, Trish. Welcome to the show. How can we help you tonight?
Well, I wanted to, first of all, give you guys a huge, huge hug, because what you guys do is literally light teachers, like spiritually light teachers, because giving this platform and for people to call in to be able to share this with people who are struggling, with a loss or a difficulty in life, and they really want to know, is there anything after this? And what an answer to be able to give not only this show, but Mark's book, which, Mark, I'll tell you, at the beginning, that first couple chapters, you had me right on my toes when you were riding through the bike with that kid and trying to get away and safely, and holy cow.
Thank you.
I was like,
let me tell you,
meditative breath for that one.
Writing that, I mean, I remember writing that, and it brought me right back in time to when that was happening. And that was one of those, I mean, there was one chance for that to go right, and at least 1,000 for that whole situation to go wrong. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, because it was incredible. And again, I give huge thank yous to having you actually narrate that, because hearing your voice and it coming through, you could feel the energy in every single experience.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I don't want to take up all your time, but I want people to hear this, because I had my poor friend, Dr. Sharon Martin, who wrote a great book. We've interviewed Sharon. The poor woman was the one that wanted to do the audio, and they did not do the audio. They found somebody else to do the audio. So she did the whole audio. But you're right about the energy of it. I mean, can you imagine anybody else like doing an audio of like the book I'm writing? Can you even imagine that?
No.
So how can we help you, Trish? Yeah. What can we do? We'd love to help you.
And I've had the experience of an author have a narrator and then them doing their own narrative after. And you can definitely feel the energy. And I definitely think all spiritual teachers and mentors should definitely narrate their own, because you feel that energy so much.
That's right. That's what I think Sharon did. Go for it.
I don't know if it's kind of funny, after the second call that I too have gone through, where, Mark's book, and was oddly enough called in today, and I can't believe I was the second caller. So Spirit has something for me, so I'm just waiting for whatever that might be.
Okay,
good.
Let's
That's
find
what we
out.
Love. Wide open.
All right, I'm getting a male spirit coming through connected to you. Now, when my left hand tingles at your dad's side of the family, right hand tingles mom's side of the family, left hand is tingling big time. So this gentleman is connected to you through either your dad's side of the family or is some other type of very strong male bonding, male connection with you. What I'm getting with him is I'm getting the sense of kind of a bigger man. By bigger, he could have been husky, may have had a few extra pounds on him at some point. I am getting major lung involvement. I'm getting this darkness in the lungs. And by the darkness was definitely some type of lung issue, lung disease with him. And my throat feels like it's on fire. I'm nauseated, or rather, when I feel nausea indicates to me that he was having difficulty eating and or holding down food prior to passing. Nausea could be, sometimes it's a cancer indicator. And in this situation, I'm kind of headed in that direction because of the burning sensation in my lungs and in the throat. Poor guy. I feel that his passing, it took time, and he suffered. He really suffered. Toward the end, though, feeling that he was under some type of medical supervision, which could include hospice, because I'm getting a very sedated feeling where there was a mental disconnect going on with him. Does this make sense to you in any way?
Yes, you were correct on the second part. As a father figure, it's my uncle, and everything is specific. He had the lung and heart cancer in the middle.
Oh, okay.
And it was inoperable.
Okay. This is really interesting how both spirits, they come in, they talk about how they died. Now they're going to something. He's showing me a clown, like a clown you see in a circus. They got the red nose, the white face, the bozo, the red clown. And he showed me all these images and pictures of clowns. Now, what's funny about this, when I was a little kid, clowns kind of scared me. I never really liked clowns. I mean, they don't really bother me now, but that's my interpretation. Some people love them. I know some people collect, clown dolls and things like that. But if I say clown, and it doesn't have to relate to him, what does a clown symbolize for you?
Two things. One of the things, he had a very good sense of humor, and I know Spirit has a very good sense of humor. And one of the things I needed to work on was love over fear, and I feared clowns, and now I do not fear them.
Oh, bada bing, bada boom. So I guess that's interesting. So that's why they evoked that out of me, because, when I was a kid, they scared me. They don't really bother me now. Okay, so all right, now. So we know this is your uncle. Let's see what advice he has for you. Diligence, 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 diligence. You know this. Diligence. He says, never give up, never give up, never give up, never give up. There's some type of project that you're working on. It could be you're writing something creating or you're planning or developing something. And it's funny because you talk about a lot about writing books and yeah, you know, as you well know, there's a lot to that, but there's some project, some thing that you're developing of a creative nature that has a big technical component to it. Could be organizational. Never give up, never give up, never give up, and the diligence. Any of that resonate with you?
100%. I've in sales consulting and sales marketing, as well as an EMT and a firefighter, EMT captain. I have seen a lot and done a lot, and my experiences have me where I volunteered at 10 years and now legally blind, and I'm experiencing new training with very holistic, out of the box, very spiritual, connecting to my energy and my vibration to learn. If you can think back to Thundercats, Fight Beyond Sight, and that is what I'm working on. I'm going to my second training here, October 1st to the 11th.
Wonderful. So
and
that's
yeah.
Go ahead.
I have the nickname Tenacity Trish.
Oh, diligence, tenacity, Trish. Okay, well, I think we received the message, Dr. Pat.
I want to ask you this question. First of all, I want to honor the journey that you're on. You know, you and I have one thing in common. We come down with various conditions, may I call them, and somehow found our way to a holistic spiritual path, right? You know, whatever that means. And I want to ask you one question. If you were looking in the mirror, what do you want to ask yourself for? What do you want to say to yourself? You know, tenacious, right? What do you want to say to yourself?
I want to say to myself, you know, great job for sticking to everything and realizing that that I'm so grateful for being able to find my inner self to be able to help me find my inner life compass.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, and I'm so grateful for Spirit to give me all of the connections of you guys and so many other spiritual leaders that have just angel numbers like crazy and just this every direction that, you know, I'm glad that I can see and hear it to be guided and open enough in my heart to let it just flow through.
Yeah. You know, you have such fighter spirit. You know what you remind me of, if I could say? Do you Christina Aguilera, when I first started doing the show, she came out with this CD called Stripped. And here I am in this community, but I'm crazy about this CD, right? And it's a little provocative, right, if you watch the videos, but I love this. Gave her an award. Crust Busting was the name of the show at the time. But I loved it because of where I was in my life and how I was so depressed and dialed the wrong phone number and started to do a show called Crust Busting, really back in 2003. And I want you to find things like that in the spiritual community, but also in life that can help you, uplift and inspire you. You have a lot of great tools. But there's one song on that track that reminded me of you. Do you know what it is? Know what it's called? It's called Fighter. Yeah. And if you get a minute to watch that video, right, you can Google it. Ask yourself that. There's another track on that reminds me of you. How do I find that song? Christina Aguilera.
How do I find that song?
Yeah, just Google Stripped. That's the name of it. It goes back to 2003, I think. And there's another track on there.
I have a couple power songs. Yeah.
Yeah. She also did another song Christmas, on there. Written by Linda Perry, and it's called Beautiful. You have both.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I hope we helped you a little bit tonight. I have a couple songs after. Really appreciate it.
I know one of the things that I think of when I've heard some of your stories that you've shared with both of you guys, that song by Saya that's called Unstoppable, or This Girl's on Fire. So I really appreciate everything you guys offer to people, because, you know, you really unite this world in a way that it gives so much hope for everything and anything. And believing is seeing.
Gosh, thank you so very much. And you know what you're motivating me to do? I don't know if you know this, but I'm like a little closet rapper. You may be motivating me to come on here in one of these shows and really do like one of these Psychic and the Doc rap things. Got that? We'll put it in our newsletter when I'm going to get ready to do that.
Pat.
Yeah.
That, if you look at, type up Tom McDonald's Fighter, if you want to do rap, you will love that song.
I'm on it. Thank you. Because so much of my life, was, my trademark song at the time was Creep by Radiohead. And the fact that I'm actually here and could acknowledge that on air is to inspire everybody out there that feels like they're down, that there's a way up.
I love it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Mark, what a great show.
It really is.
This audience. We have the best callers.
We do. I mean, I want to thank the callers tonight. I want to thank the listeners tonight. And everybody, I'm going to invite you to visit my website, afterlifefrequency.com. I will be speaking at the Edgar Casey Ancient Mysteries Conference next week. And you can attend online or in person, and I'm presenting the Secrets, Mysteries, and Curse of Tutankhamun. It's going to be a wild ride through history, and it's some twists and turns. Got a lot of things coming up, and Dr. Pat and I will be back next week for a very special episode of The Psychic and the Doc Behind the Scenes. I'll just leave that teaser out there for you.
Thank you all. And really, to all of you out there, all of you are mentors, all of you are teachers. And please know that every time you call into this show, you're doing it. You're reaching people that someday may get the courage to do the same, but you are lifting them up just like Mark and I are. Mark, thank you so much. For those of you out there, unstuckable.com, the Transformation Network, we've got so much more planned for you. Right? Don't we have like our buddy coming to talk about the Yet Factor?
Oh, that we do. We got the incredible, incomparable, inspiring Jana Short. Her new book, the Yet Factor, is just killing it. It's well on its way to becoming a Los Angeles Times bestseller, and I would not be surprised if it makes the New York Times bestseller list. And so we got a lot of great shows coming up, and Dr. Pat and I will be back. The Psychic and the Doc are always every Thursday on the clock.
All right. See you next time, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into The Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on The Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.